finishing my year here at the American School of Milan. I also know I'll go to at least one, if not two more high schools before I graduate. This is all because I'm an Army brat. Now, brat in this context stands for British Regiment Attachment Traveler. Now, I'm an American, so that means this term can also stand for if you're the child of someone who works for this military. But besides what the term Army brat means, or stands for, it generally means you move a lot. Moving for most of us means losing friends and even a whole community we built up over the time we lived there. I remember when I first moved to Milan 2.5 years ago. I was constantly looking back at the life I've had before. My friends, my community, and especially living on a U.S. military base. Now to give you a little bit of context, a U.S. military base is a place where the family members of the military live, and in most cases go to school. There was like living on a little slice of America. Everyone spoke English. There was a large amount of American food, like hamburgers, mac and cheese, and of course junk food. But for me, the most important part about living on a military base was how close my friends were. When we first moved to Milan, my parents got a house that was really far away from where any of my friends lived. It would take a few weeks and even up to a month to find time to hang out. But when we lived on base, all I had to do was walk next door and see if they could hang out. Now, despite the living conditions, living in Milan and living on base are fundamentally different. First off, when I moved to Milan, I wasn't used to eating pasta every day. And as you'd expect, living on base, I was used to everyone around me having some connection to the military. But when I moved to Milan, it was hard. People still had a hard time understanding what my dad did for a living. Now, I'm not the only one that has to go through this. Both my sisters have to move along with me, so I figured I'd ask my sister Mia what she thought about moving so much. She said, when you move, you get a mix of the good and the bad. You get a mix of the good and the bad. You get to experience more cultures because you get to be surrounded by different types of people, ideas, and food. But you also get pretty sad because you have to leave everything you've made for yourself, like your friends, school, and community. Like her, despite all the obstacles moving can bring, especially moving abroad as an Army brat, I'm happy I was able to move to Milan. When I moved, moving has really taught me important life skills, like being able to coordinate with different groups of people, and being able to adapt to different environments as needed. But moving isn't the only thing that goes along with being an Army brat. It also means I have to say goodbye to my dad. The last time I had to, I was 12 years old when my dad was deploying to Afghanistan. Now, a deployment is when someone in the military goes away to a pretty dangerous place for a few months and even up to a year. But for a 12-year-old, it felt like forever. I remember the Skype calls, his absence in important events, but thankfully, in the middle of the deployment, there was this thing called R&R, in which my dad was able to go back to the U.S. to hang out with his family for 1 to 2 weeks. This was a really bright part and otherwise a very dark part of my life. Now, being an Army brat has taught me a lot through the ups and downs. So I'll be moving in a few days, and my dad will be deploying in a few months. But understanding what it is to be an Army brat, I'm prepared for what's to come. Thank you.